Hey, good afternoon, Corey.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh man. I guess just what's your kind of what are you kind of feeling at this point in time? Obviously, fight night's a few days away. How's the fight camp been? How's the weight cut?
Yeah, fight camp was great. Didn't get sick, didn't have any weird injuries or anything, so I don't want to be one of those guys that jinxes myself. But fight camp was great. I feel like I'm better than I've ever been. Everything's really clicking with me, and yeah, Saturday night I think is going to be the best performance that I've ever had, and I can't wait.
What does it mean to fight about what 2.5 hours away from Manchester, Iowa? Obviously, your dad's from there. Is this kind of a different feeling? I know this is your 15th UFC fight as well. Is this kind of a different feeling coming in here in Des Moines?
Yeah, definitely. Iowa kind of feels like my second home a little bit, seeing that I've spent hours and hours and hours driving through it as like a kid. But yeah, I mean, Dad's from Manchester. Colorado used to feel a lot like the Midwest, so I'm like a really big fan of the Midwest and kind of slower and quieter and nicer and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to fight in Iowa.
We spoke a few weeks ago on a Zoom call, and I asked you about working at a trauma center your first couple fights. Just kind of get into more of that, man, if you don't mind. What was kind of your role working at a trauma center, and what do you kind of take away from that time? Because obviously it's not the easiest job, like I mentioned last time. And I know you mentioned therapeutic techniques and whatnot. What are some of the therapeutic techniques that you use now as a fighter at this current age?
Sure, yeah. So I mean, I always really liked working with kids. It was like my thing. It's what I wanted to do when I grew up. I also grew up in a part of Colorado that was like there was like a lot of different kinds of people, but a lot of people that were just had more than other people. And I didn't grow up wealthy by any means, but I had more than some of my other friends, and my other friends were kind of in really bad situations, and so I kind of always had like a soft spot in my heart for people, like kids that just didn't ask for their situations. So that kind of put me on the road to wanting to do something in social work or some type of counseling, something for kids. So when I went to school for that and graduated with my psych degree, I obviously needed something to do to, pay for the bills in between trying to make it to where I'm actually making money to where I don't have to work chasing MMA. So yeah, I started working at a place called Mount St. Vincent's, learned a ton about just, psychology, myself, people, kids, all of that stuff. But the work was fun most of the time, and the kids, yeah, I mean, they just come from histories of trauma, so they just need more help a little bit in life, and I'm really grateful that I was just able to, give them some of that.
How does that connect with your fighting life? Do you kind of use, I guess, some of the techniques that you've, I guess, shared with them to kind of, I guess, balance things as a fighter?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had to teach them self-awareness, and I was 22 without any self-awareness, so I had to kind of learn how to do that. So that helped me for sure. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm not really like a sports guy. I'm not really like a macho fighter guy. I'm like a martial artist. Like, life is fighting, and fighting is life to me. And any way, like I do the same thing when I'm coaching guys. I work pretty closely with a lot of guys that, I get a lot out of just from being able to help them, and that's just kind of in my nature, I guess, a little bit, for all the good and the bad of that. But yeah, that's just kind of a part of the martial arts way. We're like trying to, just be a good person, I guess, whatever that means. But I'm just trying to do that.
How would you describe, I guess, your experiences in Manchester? Right, maybe not many people would know where Manchester, Iowa is on the map,
Sure.
but how would you kind of describe, I guess, the memories and the trips down there?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot going on. They had like a really nice pool, so we liked to go into the pool. And then they had like one pizza buffet, so we would like going to the pizza buffet. But I like the Midwest because it feels like a little bit sometimes of a forgotten part of the world, because we're all into like super exciting shit because all of our attention spans suck. But the Midwest is just like a cool area because it's just slower, and it feels like you're taking a step back in time a little bit, which is cool. And that's like my dad coming from a really small town like Manchester, and it was a lot smaller, obviously, 30 years ago when we were going there. So yeah, it's just fun. It's just like a cool part. It always felt like I was traveling to some like weird ass place that was like didn't have any people in it.
this is my last question for you, man. How would you just describe Figueiredo as an opponent, and what do you kind of expect from him on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, Figueiredo's a really game guy. I think that he's like a fighter's fighter, which I really dig, and I feel like I can relate big time to. He's tough. I always described it, even before we were matched up to fight, as like what Figueiredo doesn't really make sense, but it somehow works, you know? And those are sometimes the most dangerous guys. He's a guy that's going to hunt for a knockout, and he's going to hunt for a submission the whole time. And those are his paths to victory, and I'm very good at not letting either one of those things happen. So I think when it comes to who's going to be the more well-rounded guy, who's going to wrestle better, who's going to do jiu-jitsu better, who's going to strike better, and not just like strike, like I'm talking like control all of those areas. I can be the guy that controls all of those areas, and like I said, man, I'm better than ever right now. I've never felt like I have the actual skills to be a champion more than I do right now. And Saturday night, I'm super pumped to put on the best performance of my life, win this fight, win it impressively, ask for my title shot, and then hopefully land in a little bit of luck and where there will be no one else that they have, and be the guy that fights for the belt next. Thanks.
Corey, right here. Davison was in here earlier, and we'd asked him, had he seen kind of the funny skits and things that you were doing, and we wanted to get his response to it. And he kind of said something along the lines of, I don't know if I have that side of me anymore. I feel like the funny side of me has gone and been passed down to Corey.
Okay.
And he says, I'm going in there on Saturday, and I'm looking for nothing but blood in there. There's no jokes. Cool. So what's your response to that?
Hell yeah, let's do it. One of my favorite parts of fighting is that I get to be violent as fuck, and it's allowed. Like, it gives me the chills even just thinking about it, because I'm not allowed to do that. Like, even in training, you're not allowed to fully do that. So, like, if he wants blood, there will be blood, you know? Like, that excites me. So, I don't know about the passing the funny side stuff or whatever, but if he wants blood, yeah, let's make blood.
And then a fight that you talked about in the past, but it never, like, obviously you're not going to get the chance to do it anymore. Is there any part of you that's like, man, I really wish I could have got that fight with Dominick Cruz before he retired?
Yeah, absolutely. They always kind of, there was always kind of like, hey, we're going to try to do you and Cruz. We're going to try to do you and Cruz. And yeah, it never happened. It sucks that it never happened. It's always one that I really wanted to have, but yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have that fight. I really looked up to Cruz growing up. Even when I watch my old fights, I'm like, damn, I look like Dominick Cruz. You know, I've changed a lot since then, but yeah, always looked up to that guy.
And then there's an old Instagram post you had. It was like, I think it was a quote that you'd put out there. I just wanted to get kind of your side of it. Okay. It said, it was a picture of you, and you said, kind of funny living in our head with all these things, patterns we don't like, habits we want to break, insecurities that stop us from our dreams. Then there's that dude that watches these voices, trying to change them, be better, whatever that means. The higher self, still a self though. And then you go, gotta go deep in there to know what's right. Past the monkey brain, past the hormones, past the voices, past your beliefs, into the quiet. Can you expand on that one a little bit for me?
Yeah, sure. It's always really embarrassing when people read those things out loud, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of just the shit, I guess, that I think about. You know, I like writing. I like human nature. I like trying to figure out, like, what life and existence means. And you spend enough time thinking about that shit, and it'll take you in some really, like, deep directions. And yeah, I think that the world is kind of about manifesting right now. It's about acquiring more things. And maybe it always has been, but it feels a little bit more in our face now. But there's a lot of like old ancient religions and old ancient texts that talk about letting go of things and surrendering things and detaching yourself from what we think that we all are. And I'm kind of more in that direction of philosophy than I am about trying to be the world's most awesome number one everything, you know. So but there's balance in that, you know. Like I live in a very competitive world. I'm at the gym 6 days a week, like fighting people and competing against them at all times. So I kind of just need to restore balance in myself sometimes, and balance in my soul sometimes, of just me having to be like, hey dude, like, you don't matter any more than the birds flying around chirping sometimes too. So yeah, it's just that dichotomy of being a person, I guess.
Hey, Corey. You recently started your comedy vlog series. Are you happy with the positive reception that you've got online?
I think that they're positive. Honestly, I don't read any comments because they make me stop being myself when I do like interviews and videos and shit. So, but my video guy tells me that people are liking them or whatever. So that's why I wanted to do them, man, is because I'm kind of an intense guy. I like even this week, anytime things start to get too much fun or whatever, in the back of my head, I always have, hey man, I've seen people get fucking knocked out and taken out on stretchers and jaws broken in half and arm and legs broken and stuff. So, I mean, I've been around in the sport long enough to like not have too much fun at any of this shit and just be kind of a little bit intense the entire time. But yeah, the videos are just kind of me fucking showing a side of me that isn't so damn intense and fucking flat like how I am now. So yeah, that was just that. And I think that really stupid, silly shit is really funny. And now, like, everyone's kind of sarcastic and cool guy funny, but I think that, like, just stupid, silly shit is so funny.
Yeah, it seems like people really like your sense of humor.
Thanks.
You'll be facing a former world champion in Figueiredo. What have you thought about him since moving up to the weight class?
Yeah, I mean, he fights a little bit different at 35. He wrestles more. He doesn't really have the ability to be, like, a power bully as much at 35 as he does at 25, so... those are kind of the main changes that I see in him moving up in the division. But, I mean, he's still definitely a really dangerous guy. I mean, he's still taking really tough fights. Yeah, I mean, I take pride in being the guy in the division that people are like, well, what do I get out of beating that guy? And it's like, well, you don't get much, like I think that it makes me a little bit scary to fight sometimes because I'm not this like quote unquote star or whatever. Like there's no like reputation giant boost that you get from beating me. I know that I'm in a different situation now, like I kind of am now, but not like compared to some of these guys that have like major followings because they're from a different country or whatever. So I like being the guy where it's like, no, I don't. Why would I fight that guy? I'm just going to fight that guy and maybe win and maybe lose. I like being that guy. So Figgy's obviously game. Like I said before, he's a fighter's fighter, and he shows up and he fights hard, and he's experienced, and I think he's a phenomenal fighter, and I'm super stoked about the challenge.
And then there's been a lot of talk online about whether 100 men can defeat one silverback gorilla.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that debate?
Yeah, this is weird because I was just asked this for the first time. I haven't heard this before. I think if you're going to – I definitely would need 100 of me, but 100 is kind of a lot. I don't know how we'd win. My go-to would probably be a bunch of trying to kick him in the nuts as many times as I could. And then probably poke him in the eye. Everything that I could do that would be illegal in a fight, I'd probably try to do to the gorilla, and hopefully he wouldn't rip and kill too many of myself, I guess.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks.
Welcome to Fight Week. How's everything gone so far? How are you enjoying the city, and how are you feeling?
Bem-vindo a mais uma semana de luta. Como é que está sendo? Está conseguindo aproveitar um pouco a cidade? Como é que você está sentindo para essa semana?
Bom, cheguei na cidade sábado e fiquei o tempo todo no hotel, mas já saí na cidade aí para visitar, fazer umas compras bem rápido, mas não deu para aproveitar. Tô bem focado na luta, cara, tô me sentindo 100% e agora é focar na perda de peso aí para completar o primeiro trabalho e sábado se divertir.
I've got to town on Saturday, pretty much stayed in the hotel. I was able to leave briefly to do some shopping, so just enjoying the city a little bit, but came right back. I'm really focused on the fight and focused on the work and the task at hand just to finish off the work that we put in, focus on the weight cut right now and finish it off with a win on Saturday.
Corey Sandhagen, he's been a guy that said openly before, I'm not really big into social media, but we've seen him recently do a lot of things on social media, kind of poke fun at you, do these sort of skits. What's your opinion on all these things that he's doing right now?
O Corey Sandhagen sempre falou que que ele não era um cara de redes sociais. Ele não ficava muito nas redes, não gosta de se expor nem nada. E aí, de uns tempos para cá, recentemente, ele tem aparecido em redes sociais, tá meio que zoando com a tua cara, fazendo uns sketches lá e de comédia. Você tem visto isso? O que você achou?
Bom, eu acho que o espírito comédia que tinha dentro de mim para fazer essas palhaçadas em rede social saiu do meu corpo e entrou nele, né? E agora eu vou observar essas palhaçadas dele e sábado a gente vai resolver dentro do octagon.
I think that, the jokester spirit that lived within me back in the day, just do all this clown stuff. I think it left my body, went into his. So I'm just enjoying it. I'm just going to keep watching what he does, and let's settle the situation. I'll just keep waiting and watching all that nonsense, and we'll set it out in the octagon on Saturday.
Yeah, he said some interesting things leading up to it. I think in an interview recently, he said, I'd rather be me than Figgy. If you're going to be shorter, if you're going to be shorter, you better be a better wrestler. But Figueiredo is not really a wrestler. He has good jiu-jitsu and good submissions and things like that. But his takedowns are very one note. So he's been pretty critical of your skills as far as, comparing to himself. So I want to get your thoughts on that as well.
E também recentemente numa declaração ele falou, olha, eu prefiro mil vezes ser eu do que ser o Fig, porque eu sou um cara que sou baixo. Se é para ser baixo, é melhor ser um wrestler. Eu acho que o que ele tem basicamente falando de você, assim, eu tenho o wrestling e ele é um cara que tem o jiu-jitsu, ele tem uma habilidade para derrubar, mas assim, é uma coisa meio que você tem digamos, de um truque só. E ele tem sido crítico das suas habilidades, especialmente em comparação com aquilo que ele oferece. O que você tem para dizer para o Corey Sandhagen depois dessa?
Cara, eu aprendi muito com a minha última luta, cara. Eu sou um cara bem agressivo, né? E não fui na última. Faltou velocidade. Alguns erros que eu cometi nela e eu procurei corrigir para essa luta. Vamos ver o que acontece sábado, cara. Eu não vou falar muito, mas eu não vou ser o mesmo cara da última luta.
Dude, I learned a lot from my last fight. I'm an aggressive guy, and I wasn't. Quickness and speed was lacking as well. But I learned a lot from that fight, and let's just say I'm not going to talk much about it, but I learned a lot, and I'm not going to be the same guy that you saw in the last fight.
I just want to kind of expand on that answer there. When you say, you're known as being an aggressive guy, we see some fighters as they age a little bit in the octagon. They kind of switch up their style a little bit, right? Their volume kind of goes down. They're more strategic in there. As you age in this sport, are you saying now in this fight with Corey Sandhagen that we're going to see the old Deiveson Figueiredo, we're going to see you walk forward, we're going to see you walk him down and throw heavy volume against him?
Quero expandir um pouco nesse comentário que você falou sobre ter aprendido, ser o mesmo cara que você era no passado. Tem muitos lutadores que ao longo da carreira deles, à medida que a idade vai passando, que o tempo vai passando, que eles estão ficando mais experientes, eles vão começando a ser talvez mais cerebrais na luta, ser menos agressivos como eram, perdem algumas coisas que teriam de elementos de agressividade do passado, mudam um pouco o estilo, são mais estratégicos. Você está dizendo, então, que basicamente a gente vai ver um Deiveson, do Deiveson das antigas, um Deiveson que vai para frente, um Deiveson que é aquele cara que a gente estava acostumado a ver no passado?
Bom, com certeza sim, cara. Eu sou um cara que eu estou sempre me atualizando, né? De acordo com que o iPhone vai avançando, eu também vou, né? E eu atualizei meu software. Vocês vão ver um cara certamente melhor.
For sure. I'm a guy that's always just updating things, as the iPhone updates their operating system, and I do mine as well. And I think I've just upgraded my software. And you're going to see a guy that's much better than was before.
Hello, sir. First of all, your Instagram followers have left lots of comments under your latest photo about your weight, and they are wondering if you can make 135 till Saturday.
Muitos comentários nos teus posts de Instagram, nas redes sociais, o pessoal vendo foto tua, dizendo, poxa, não sei se ele vai bater esse peso. O pessoal questionando, gente, que está lá, entrando no teu perfil para dizer que está questionando por conta de uma foto do teu semblante, se você vai bater 135 até sábado. O que você diria sobre isso?
Bom, são fotos que são bem antigas, aquelas fotos. Eu estava saindo de uma lesão de pubis e eu tomei alguns corticoides e estava bem acima do peso, né? Mas a galera não se preocupa que eu vou bater o peso. Eu sempre fui profissional na minha vida e não vai ser agora que eu vou deixar de ser.
The pictures that you actually see there are kind of from a time that I was just coming off of an injury. So I had, injuries around the groin area and the muscles. I was taking corticoids. Obviously, that brings some tolling. So for everybody, just don't worry, because I'm very focused on this, and I'm going to make the weight by Saturday.
Hope so. Two brothers from Kazakhstan helped you to prepare for this fight. What exactly have you become stronger in after working with them, and will you continue to work with them?
Você trabalhou com 2 caras do Cazaquistão no teu camp para melhorar algumas áreas da tua luta, e ele gostaria de saber exatamente o que você aprendeu com eles, quais são os benefícios que eles trouxeram para o teu camp, e se você vai continuar trabalhando com eles agora.
Bom, eu vou continuar trabalhando com eles. É uns caras que exigem muito de mim, né? Todas as vezes que eu treino forte com eles e que eu perco um treino, eu vou para casa, e isso exige mais, porque eu chego em casa e eu fico refletindo, vendo meu treino e onde que eu errei, porque os caras são muito fortes, entendeu? E eu tive eles em todos os meus camps, né? Tive outros lutadores e eles me ajudaram muito para essa luta, muito. E eles me tornaram um cara diferente, e sábado eu vou mostrar isso.
It's really good to have them because they demand a lot of me. Training is really hard, and when you're going through training with them, when you come back and you get kind of beat up or get beat during training, I go back home and just ponder, reflect on what happened to try to become better. They're not the first that we worked with before. I've always brought some guys. They made me stronger, made me better, and they've added a lot to my training, and you'll see on Saturday how I'm a different person.
Umar Nurmagomedov got his title shot right after his win on Sandhagen. So do you believe that in the case of the win on Saturday night, you will be the next contender? And actually, Merab named your name in recent interviews.
Depois que o Umar lutou contra o Corey, na vitória do Umar, eles deram direto uma chance para ele lutar pelo título. Você acha que você ganhando do Sandhagen, você também vai entrar na luta pelo título em breve? E inclusive o Merab já mencionou o teu nome, né? Mencionou você por nome para lutar contra ele.
Bom, eu sou um cara de 37 anos e eu não posso perder oportunidades, entendeu? Vencendo o Corey, eu vou pegar o microfone e vou pedir ao UFC para me dar essa oportunidade para deixar eu lutar pelo cinturão.
Listen, I'm a 37-year-old guy, and I cannot miss out on that opportunity. Beating Corey on Saturday, I'll get on the microphone, I'll ask the UFC immediately, get me the title shot.
And the last one from me, the biggest question in social media right now, who will win, one gorilla or 100 people? So what's your opinion on that point?
Generally, on one gorilla and?
Or 100 people.
Okay. Versus. Yeah. Who's the person? Anybody? Is he supposed to name it? No. Just anybody. A pergunta em rede social, não sei se você viu, um gorila ou 100 pessoas. Você viu esse negócio da rede social? O pessoal está perguntando, numa luta, 100 pessoas ou um gorila, quem é que ganha? Eu perguntei se a pessoa, que pessoa seria, mas vai.
Dependendo das pessoas, né, cara?
Depending on the people.
Depende muito das pessoas,
Depending on
né?
the person.
Se for pessoas estilo Vikings, pronto pra matar ou morrer, vai vencer o gorila.
If it's gonna be like Viking style, ready to kill or die, they're gonna beat those gorillas. They're gonna beat the gorilla.
Obrigado.
You know.
Hey, Davison, over here. Could we get a prediction from you on that title rematch between Merab and Sean O'Malley?
E um palpite da revanche agora, que vai ter oportunidade, vai ser Merab contra Sean. Quem que ganha?
Bom, eu vejo o Merab vencendo novamente, né? O estilo de jogo não combina, mesmo o Sean O'Malley sendo versátil, movimentações, bom de boxe, mas o Merab consegue quebrar isso dele, consegue enfraquecer o jogo dele.
I see this going Merab's way. I don't think it's a good matchup for Sean, even though Sean's very, very versatile. The way he moves, I think that Merab just breaks his game. And I do not see Sean getting over that.
And then your opponent, Corey Sandhagen, is a very rangy and technical striker. How do you plan to get inside the length of him on Saturday night?
E o seu oponente, o Corey Sandhagen, é um cara muito... Ele tem uma envergadura boa e sabe trabalhar muito a distância. Como é que você vai entrar nessa distância dele e vai chegar perto dele?
Talvez sendo Mike Tyson na vida, né? Caindo pra dentro dele, vamos ver o que acontece.
Just being like, Mike Tyson style, just kind of going at it, just going inside and just see what happens on Saturday.
Hey, Davison.
Hello.
How would you describe the skill set that Corey possesses? Obviously, he's been in the bantamweight division for quite a while. From a fighter's perspective, how would you just describe the skills that he brings every time he steps in the octagon?
Como é que você descreveria o estilo e as habilidades do Corey Sandhagen? Ele, obviamente, sabe que é um cara muito tático, muito técnico, um cara que está na divisão há muito tempo. Como é que você, como lutador, descreveria o Corey Sandhagen como lutador?
Bom, o Corey é um cara que se movimenta muito para as laterais, né? E a cada movimento dele troca de base, ele troca de base, ataca, né? Ele é muito rápido nos ataques dele, né? Ele tem uma versatilidade junto com engano ao mesmo tempo, né? Então a gente tem que estar muito esperto para sair nesse time dele, sair ou entrar no momento dessa troca de base. A gente vê um erro nele ali trocando de base também. Uma luta difícil difícil de explorar os erros, mas a gente vai trabalhar em cima disso para pegar ele.
It's a guy that has very good side movement as he fights. He's a guy that's always as he strikes, he moves and he changes stances very quickly as well, which makes it difficult to actually spot him. But we do see some mistakes, and what you have to do is just try to make sure that you get him while he's doing that. We do see some loopholes there and some openings while he's changing stances. But that's what you need to do, just kind of get him in there because he knows how to move, and it is a very hard guy to decipher. But we'll go with that.